Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Bruce Anderson and I'm here today at the Dakota EcoGarden in Fresno, California. Founded in 2012 by Nancy Waidtlow, the Dakota EcoGarden is a model homeless community based on the eco-village concepts of architect Art Dyson, who for example also designed the Woodward Park Library in the town. Nancy and Gerry Bill agreed to grant us an interview today to share their project, their vision, and their philosophy. Hello Nancy and Gerry, thank you for speaking with us today.
Hello, Bruce.
And thank you for having us.
Gerry, would you please share your mission statement and philosophy here at Dakota EcoGarden with our viewers?
Yeah, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Our intention is to provide safe, uplifting, and environmentally friendly housing, transitional housing for homeless people. And the place we have here is safe. People are safe from the predators and so on that prey on homeless people on the streets. Everything we do here is environmentally friendly, and so we use solar electricity and recycle our water and use gray water, etc., etc. We have an organic garden Nancy will tell you about. Our goal is to provide, this comes from Art Dyson, uplifting housing that a person feels proud to live in. And we have one such Art Dyson prototype already built, and we're going to be building more.
I see, very good. I see a couple different kinds of structures on the property, and you're in the middle of this kind of egg-shaped structure.
Yeah, that'll be our second prototype, and it's about half done.
Very good. Nancy, how do you feel Dakota EcoGarden compares to the usual conditions and services available to the homeless?
Well, it does vary from town to town. There are some towns which do better, but in this town, we have a lot of people who want to help the homeless, and what they think of is almost always feeding them. But one of the benefits that we do have, our homeless people do have, is food stamps. Now called the EBT card, the SNAP program, CalFresh, all kinds of names,
yes.
But that's what it is. And so food, and there are free food giveaways in a lot of places in the town. We have a great food bank program. It's good, but what the people need is a place to stay.
Yes.
And that doesn't even have to come, it doesn't really have to come up to our standards. You know, we kind of take the cream of the crop, if you will. We have to have people who can get along together, at least to a certain extent, because we have a self-governing community here. They have to be able to share a kitchen, do the chores that keep it at least basically moving along.
Yes.
And so what the people that aren't here have is possibly, some few have the tool sheds at the Poverello house, which they have to share with a roommate that they didn't know before they went there. They have to leave during the day. They just can't even, it's really not like home. Okay, we are trying to make this place be like a home, even though it's home for the homeless. Okay, it's homey. We try to make it homey.
Very nice.
and they are safe, and they can use the kitchen to cook their food. And
very nice. And how many? Oh, it's okay, Nancy. How many people do you usually have in residence, and what is the waiting list like?
Okay, we kind of have come upon the number 12
Yes.
as kind of capacity, but if we had a couple who was really able to share a space, either one of our rooms, which we have for $250 a month, we have 2 of those only, and so if they were to share it, we might charge $350 for 2 people. It's a bargain. So then we could possibly see ourselves having 14 or something like that. And we have somehow been lucky enough not to have a long waiting list. We You know, we get calls kind of immediately. We haven't gone very long with vacancies. We get calls all
Right.
the time. And sometimes we have to say, you know, well, you have this disqualifying aspect to your life. You need to do some rehab, you know, to have that drug
Yes.
problem be a little bit more behind you, because we don't necessarily say you can't have had a drug problem. You just have to be able to live here and not disrupt
Yes.
the harmony of the community aspect of it.
I will say something about couples. We've had, I think, 5 couples here since we've been open the last 3.5 years, and it's worked out okay for the most part. And some of them have been in the rooms, but some of them have been in the tents, and there's no rent in the tents.
Yes.
So people with no income can stay in our tents. And we have had couples stay in tents, and that worked out fine.
Very good. What features and amenities do you provide here on the property in terms, of course, of the main house and that sort of thing, and what's available to people?
We do have the kitchen that everybody gets to use with a stove and 2 big refrigerators, and we had 1 small freezer, but recently we had a donation of a very large freezer. So we're hoping we can get our solar panels on the roof pretty soon, so it doesn't break the budget. But so there's ability to cook, and we have a computer room and Wi-Fi out to the back fence, we like to say,
Yes.
as we have a person here who actually lives on site, but he is rather a genius at solar things and computer things, so he does that as his portion of the chores. Everybody has a contribution that they make. Okay, we got the cooking and the computers. We have the laundry. We have the organic garden and the fruit trees that I planted them as babies. A lot of them were donated to us by Intermountain Nursery and other people. And they produce, and we have a pomegranate tree that's going to make a whole lot of pomegranates. Okay, and that's a little bit of free food.
Very good.
Okay, what else do we have, Gerry?
Well, I was going to mention that, that everybody that lives out in the back uses the main house for the facilities. And there's 2 bathrooms in the house, but there's also a 3rd shower, which is outside the house,
Yes.
but enclosed. And it was built by a group of volunteers in one weekend, but it is set up to be an environmentally friendly shower, in that the gray water drains and waters the landscaping in
Great.
the front,
Yep.
front garden. And a lot of the residents say that's the best shower in the house. They prefer
Sure.
that one.
Especially in the summer, huh?
Yeah,
It's kind of nice.
yeah. So that's another amenity.
Yes.
And we provide. It's secure here. There's a locked gate, and so nobody can come in and steal your stuff.
Absolutely.
So people have they have bicycle stuff here, and they don't have to things of that sort. They don't have to lock them up like they would have to on the street. They'd have to worry about this stuff disappearing. Here it doesn't disappear.
Right. I've even heard that kind of problem with the sheds at Barbarella, for example.
Yeah.
You bring in
Exactly.
things you think it's safe, and you turn around and they're gone.
Yeah. So those are some of the amenities, I guess.
Very good.
And the house is heated and cooled, so if it's really too cold or too hot in
Yes.
the tent, people can go in the house.
Yes. Jerry, what kind of services you provide here, or for example, referrals to services in the community, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we're not exactly a service provider,
Mhm.
but we connect people with the existing services in the community. So we help them find the kind of connections they need, sometimes provide them with transportation. We have bus passes. We have 2 bus passes for the house, so people can go to their counseling appointments or their medical appointments or whatever. And we, try to help people get on food stamps if they don't have them, and get on disability if they need to apply for disability. Connect with behavioral health if they need mental health services and so on. So, and we provide some transportation to and from medical appointments, and to the pharmacy to get medications and so on, because a lot of people here do have medical problems.
Yes.
And so but mostly all we're doing is connecting people with the services that exist in the community.
Absolutely.
But they sometimes don't know those services exist until they get here, and then we tell
Precisely.
them.
It's all about communication, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I go back to the question where I should have said where we're different from other?
Absolutely.
The other shelters do not allow pets.
I see.
And we do.
And that they're very much the homeless have those pets as
They have-
companions that they rely on.
They do.
Oh yeah, that is. I suppose that's an amenity too, a place, for
Yes.
a safe place for your pet.
How about any current projects that are going on? I know you've got some solar paneling work going on, and yet you have solar in all the tents. It looks like. And
We
you-
have a
Oh.
little bit of solar in the tents.
I see.
It people are still going to want to go into the house and use the AC in the
Yes,
house.
yes.
So
right. Of
in
course.
order for us not to be kind of nagging at them to not turn it up, not use it too much, we're getting solar panels, and they were totally donated. We are so grateful to our donors
Yeah,
for
Nova West
helping
Solar
us
is
with
donating the materials and the labor to install solar for the house. Yeah, our
Terrific.
local electronic tech guy puts solar in all the tents, but this is low voltage solar, just 12 volts,
Yes.
and it's just to run lights at night or fans in hot
Charging
weather.
phones.
that. So
So-
just a little light and a little fan,
Yes.
and
But-
hopefully charging phones. We
Yeah,
Oh, I know. There's that
it
somewhat.
should do that.
We do
certainly.
not recognize that. Yeah. What would you say have been the greatest challenges your organization has faced over the years? Do you find that government policies are more of a help or a hindrance to your work?
You do the challenges, Nancy. Go ahead.
Okay, the challenges. Is that the one where
Yeah.
where we say, "I'm sorry"?
Well, I'll start on that one. Human relations is a challenge.
There you go. That's
Yes.
it.
Sometimes
so much
people
better
that come
person
here
than I
have come from situations where they haven't had to interact with other people very much, and they maybe not have the best social skills, and that's one of the reasons they're in the situation they're in. And so, if you take 12 people who don't know each other from before and throw them all together and expect them to get along, sometimes there's frictions that occur and things like that, and that's a much more difficult challenge than providing the physical facilities, and that is getting the community to run smoothly. I think that's a big challenge. Now, you were going to say something about people getting too comfortable.
Oh well, we have learned as we have gone along. We didn't really have too much to go on when we started this thing, and it was one step at a time, and find out you can't do it that way that you started doing it. We didn't have a strong idea of a limit on the time that people could stay, and now we have decided we need to do that, and we have said it is 1 year, and we make sure that people understand that at the beginning. 1 year with some possibility of extension if you are putting in a good faith effort, really making an effort to find where your next
Yes.
place is going to be. So we have had, in other words, our challenge is that we do have a few residents who have been here longer than they should to fit into our idea that this is transitional
Yes.
housing. I don't know if we mentioned that word. That's what we consider ourselves. They're here to make progress in their lives, not to live forever in a tent. Heaven help us if that's our goal. It's not.
Yes, very good. What kind of advice would you offer to other humanitarians such as yourselves who may be thinking of offering similar services to the homeless?
Well, I just keep thinking that there are so many things that people who want to help could be doing. Individuals who have a back room or a little cottage in the back that they're not currently using,
Yes.
it could be done that they take in one or more than one person, and I'm sure, again, I would like the governmental powers to do the vetting of people, the vetting of the house of the homeless person, and the supervision to help. It just seems like it would work so well, and the churches want to help. Well, they could put a few people up in some way. Different churches have
Yes.
different things available in their facilities. Some have nice backyards where they could put a tent or two. I mean, tents are not wonderful places to live, but and sometimes people have lived, on the streets in tents, but this is a tent in a safe environment, etc. It just really is very different, and it's on a platform, and it's got a canopy over top of the tent. And so it is really different from being outside. That wasn't your question.
No, but it absolutely answers many of the questions that were
Now,
the answers
it
to.
was. I'll add to that. It's like this is actually a very low budget operation,
Yes.
and so because we're just using tents and platforms and low voltage solar and all of that, we house people here. Our cost for utilities and all the supplies we have, like laundry soap and toilet paper and all that, comes to about $150 per month per person, and that's pretty cheap to house somebody. $150 a month per person.
Yes.
And it's all done on donations and so on. We don't have any government grants or anything of that sort. So one bit of advice is, if you keep things simple, you can do things very low budget and help a few people. And Nancy's intention in setting this place up was that it could be replicated.
Yes.
Other people could do something similar if they have a house with some land on it and so on. And in fact, there are people that have come to us and said they want to do that, and they're working on acquiring a house to do this kind of thing with. And we heard also from Mendota that they, people in Mendota wanted to do something like this, and they contacted us and got ideas and so on. So partly we're a model for how just some citizens can do things on a low budget and help some people without putting out huge amounts of money.
Well, you absolutely are a model and an inspiration, and we thank you for speaking with us today, Nancy and Gerry. And,
All right, let's see now. Where was I going to put in this?
Sure, go right ahead.
Organic garden.
Somehow I missed a couple of things. Let's see.
We never talked about the garden.
Oh, well, okay. How come we didn't? Oh, that was going to be an
Well,
amenity.
we
Just
mentioned.
didn't. Yeah,
We mentioned it. I didn't know how much you may have
mentioned
wanted to go
That's-
into it
that's
further.
right. That's
Go
right.
right ahead.
We don't have to do too much on the organic garden. It's coming along. We have some things growing out there, and they'll make food. That's
Yeah,
the
you
main thing
mentioned
about the organic garden. But I don't know. I missed my chance somewhere on the getting in my idea that the city bus system could be used on off-peak hours when you see buses traveling around the city with nobody in them, very few anyway, that if a homeless person, knew that they could have either free or reduced bus fare during certain hours on certain lines, it would be different from line to line and time to time, but I don't think it's too difficult. And all they'd have to do probably would be to show something that shows that they are low income people, that they get food stamps, or they have something that shows they're on disability.
Yes.
There would be no bureaucracy, no extra expense to the program, and people could get around, and that would make such a difference in their lives. It's just amazing. Of course, the bus system doesn't even run for people that get jobs, and when you get a starting job, often the hours are you go at 7 or 6 or whatever, you go in the early evening, okay, maybe the bus can get you there, but then you get off at 2 a.m. or some such ridiculous thing, and if you don't have a car, it's impossible. It's just doesn't work at all. My idea of the off-peak hours doesn't help that. There just isn't anything.
Right. But we did have a resident that got a job like that. Fortunately, it was close enough that she could walk at 2 a.m. to come home. But then she eventually gave it up, partly because of the hours and the walking home at 2 a.m. and stuff like that.
And then my last question is about what needs does your facility have that remain unmet? And I know we're talking about expansion, for example, and
Okay,
you're doing quite well here.
I'll just start with this part, and then Gerry can go
Yes,
into
very
the
good.
eco-village vision.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
We have one of our tent residents that has a metal roof, and it doesn't necessarily stay much cooler, but at least it doesn't disintegrate in the Fresno summer sun, and the tarps that cover our other ones definitely do disintegrate, and they flap around in the wind, and so it would be nice, to get more substantial, still, still on a budget, but more substantial construction for our residences, for our houses.
Yeah, she's talking about some kind of shelter over the top of a tent.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
And we, it costs about $300 in materials to put a metal roof over a tent.
Yes.
And then there's some labor involved, but usually we have volunteer labor. So that would be, we've only done one. We've got 8 tents out and back here. We want to put metal roofs on one. We got 7 to go.
Yes.
So that'll be, that's a little project for the future. And we're working on a drip system out in the organic garden. That's another project, but that's close to completion now. We've got most of the materials for that. I don't think there are huge unmet needs here on this site. We managed to get enough donations to get the things we need. The bigger vision is, this is why Art Dyson founded the Eco Village Project, was to actually build from scratch a whole community with a purpose-built community building with large kitchens so that there'd be room for everybody and room for them to store their food and adequate bathroom, shower, laundry, etc. And to have maybe 12 or 15 of these eco shelters that he's been designing. And part of what we're doing here is we're building prototype units, and the plan is when we get the best prototype, probably when we get a piece of property, then we'll build 12 to 15 of them all the same.
Yes.
Maybe prefab them or mass produce them somehow. But we don't have the resources to buy a piece of land or to pay for that many shelters. So that's an unmet need. Now I will say that we did one model that we followed from another place is we get churches to sponsor a shelter. So the shelter that's under construction right now is actually sponsored by Temple Beth Israel, and they're paying for that. Now they just pay the materials. We have volunteer labor, and the previous shelter that we built was built largely by money from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. So what we might do if we build a large scale thing is we'll go to churches and try to get each one to sponsor, or individuals to sponsor a thing, and it'll be like $5,000–6,000, something in that range, to sponsor a single dwelling unit, we think. And then maybe they'll get a little plaque on the side that says, money for this unit provided by such and such a church. But we don't have the property. We need to buy a piece of property, or lease a piece of property, or something, and we're not there yet.
Okay. I think we've covered the topics.
Should we mention the savings account?
I think it's an excellent thing to mention. This has to do with Nancy's mention that people get comfortable here and don't want to leave. And we decided, rather than a negative incentive, we decided to create a positive incentive, which is we have a savings plan, and they can put up to $150 per month into the savings plan. And this is money to be used for moving out, like first month's rent and deposit and utilities and whatever, those kinds of things. And we match it.
Oh, I see.
So we'll match, up to $1,000 that they put away. We will match with another $1,000. So they could have as much, if they put $1,000 in while they're here, they could have as much as $2,000 when they move out. But with the proviso that it has to be used for that kind of thing. But that's the problem people have getting into an apartment often is, well, I could make the monthly rent, but I can't pay the deposit, and I can't get the utilities hooked up, and et cetera, et cetera. And so we have quite a few residents that are participating in this program, and it's like doubling your money. $150 in, I get $300 back. But the proviso is it has to be used for that. It can't be used for some other thing.
Maybe that's all.
Very good. Well, as I was starting to say before, you are a model for this community, and we very much appreciate your time today, Nancy and
You're
Gerry.
welcome.
I'm Bruce Anderson, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Bruce.